Do they hum in India? People hum a tune. They hum in India? All right. It's a nice garland. Not too high. That's better. Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari Jasodanandana Vrajanaranjana Jasodanandana Vrajanaranjana Jamunti Ravanatari Jamunti Ravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari Jasodanandana Vrajanaranjana Jamunati Ravanatari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Boom! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Boom. Jaradam Madhava Kunda Bihari, Jaradam Madhava Kunda Bihari, Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari. Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Padiva Jakachari. Ostentated Shishiman, His Divine Grace Abide Children. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Jagaguru Srila Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Gaura Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Namchar Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem Shri Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki. Shri Shri Radhakrishna Go Gopinath Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki, Vrindavan Dham Ki, Mathura Dham Ki, Dwarka Dham Ki, Navadvip Dham Ki, Jagannathpuri Dham Ki, Jamuna Mai Ki, Ganga Mai Ki, Tulsi Maharani Ki, Bhakti Devi Ki, Sambhira Bhakta Vindi Ki, Shri Shri Radha Giridhari Ki, Shri Krishna Sankirtana Jagaki, Gopremanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the divine lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaivam Narottama Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nastaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavata Naishtiki. The Bhagavatam is brilliant as the sun, is arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna. Persons who have lost their vision through the dense darkness of the age of Kali should get light out of this Purana. Before beginning our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, We should first offer our respects to the personality of God Narayan, to the Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, the goddess of living Mother Saraswati, the author Srila Vyasadeva, and my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada. So we are on a new chapter, the 13th chapter of the 8th canto. And because there's a number of verses without purports, we're going to read up to text 11. So I will read the English up until 11. Shukadev Goswami said, the present Manu, whose name is Shraddhadev, is the son of Vivishwan, the predominating deity of the sun. Shraddhadev is the seventh Manu. I will now please hear from me description of his sons. O King Parikshit, the 10 sons of Manu are Ikshvaku, Nabaga, Drista, Saryati, Nirishyanta, and Nabaga. The 7th son, known as Dista, then come, because he's talking about the future, Tarusha, and then Prishadra, and the 10th son is known as Vasuman. In this Manvatar, O king, the Adityas, the Vasus, the Rudras, the Vishwadevs, and the Maruts, and the two Ashwini Kumar brothers, and the Ribus are the demigods. Their head king, Indra, is Purandara. Kasyapa, Atri, Vishishta, Vishwamrita, Gautama, Jamadagni, and Bhardwaj are known as the 7 sages. In this Manvantar, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared as the youngest of all the Adityas, known as Vamanadev, the dwarf. His father was Kasyapa and his mother Aditi. I have briefly explained to you the position of the 7 Manus. Now I shall describe the future Manus. I guess that was in the past. Now I shall describe the future Manus along with the incarnations of Lord Vishnu. O King, I have previously described in the 6th canto the 2 daughters of Vishvakarma, named Samgya and Chaya, who were the first 2 wives of Vivishvan. It is said that the sun god had a 3rd wife named Vadava. Of the 3 wives, the wife named Samgya had 3 children, Yama, Yami, and Shraddhadev. Now let me describe the children of Chaya. 10. Chaya had a son named Savarni and a daughter named Tapati, who later became the wife of King Samavarna. Chaya's 3rd child, known as Sanaichara, Saturn, Vadava gave birth to 2 sons, namely the Ashvini brothers. Now 11. Astame Antara Ayata. Yeah, I tell you, right? Savarnir Bhavita Manu Nirmoka Virajaskadaya Skadya. Okay. Astamentarayate Savarnir Bhavata Manu Nirmoka Virajaskadya Savarni Tanaya Nirpa Astamenthara ayate Savanir bhavatamanu Nirmoka vidajaskadya Savani tanayan ripa Astamenthara ayate Savanir bhavatamanu Nirmoka vidajaskada Nirmoka vidajaskada kadya Hare Govinda Savani tanayan ripa. Now Dravida will chant it properly. Astamenthara ayate Savanir bhavatamanu Nirmoka vidajaskadya Savani tanayan ripa. Astamenthara ayate Savanir bhavitamanu Nirmoka vidajaskadya Savanir tanayan ripa. Astamenthara ayate Savanir bhavitamanu Nirmoka vidajaskadya Savanir tanayan ripa. Mataji, you want to give it a shot? Astamenthara ayate Savanir bhavitamanu Nirmoka vidajaskadya Savanir tanayan ripa. Astame, the 8th. Antare, Manu's period. Ayate, when arrived. Savani, Bhavata, will become. Manu, the 8th Manu. Nirmoka, Vidajaskadya, Vidajaska, and others. Savarni, of Savarni. Tanaya, the sons. Nripa, O king. O king, when the period of the 8th Manus arrives, Savarni will become the Manu. Nirmoka and Vidajaska will be among his sons. Also you say, O king, when the period of the 8th Manu arrives, Savarni will become the Manu. Nirmoka and Vidajaska will be among his sons. Hey, is this water fresh or 12 years old? Fresh? Thank you, Prabhu. The present reign is that of Vaivashvata Manu. According to astronomical calculations, we are now in the 28th Yuga of Vaivashvata Manu. Each Manu lives for 71 yugas, and 14 of such Manus rule in one day of Lord Brahma. We are now in the period of Vaivashvata Manu. The 7th Manu and the 8th Manu will come into existence after millions of years. But Shukadev Goswami, having heard from authorities, foretells that the 8th Manu, this is millions of years in the future, The 8th Manu will be Savarni, and Nirmoka and Virajaska will be among his sons. Shastra can foretell what will happen millions and millions of years in the future. Om Ganatamarandasya Ganagana Salakaya Jakshushan Militan Gina Tazarishi Gurave Namaha. So the Vedic time frame we're like ants. There's a type of bug called a June bug because it appears in June, and it only lives one day. It lives in the ground for like 8 years. I've seen this happen, and when it comes out, there's thousands of them. And they don't have a mouth. Within one day, their only business is to mate, lay an egg or some eggs, and die. That's it. So and they're done in one day. So, but to give you an idea of the Vedic expanse of time, and it serves a purpose. We'll get to it. And reading these, you know, like in the Bible, they call it the begats. There's so many chapters that this one begat that one, and this one begat that one, and you know, so many names, so many manus. What's it got to do with me? We'll get there. Don't worry. But to give you an idea of what we're dealing with, Vedic time begins from the exhalation of Mahavishnu. He breathes out, and the entire creation, just these, there's 7 manus before and 7 manus going forward. There's 14 altogether. And I did the math the other day, yesterday, and it's trillions of years. We can't even, wrap your mind around a billion, but trillions of years. Lord Ram, how long was Sat? He was in Treta Yuga. That's millions and millions and millions of years ago. So Vedic time starts with the exhalation of Mahavishnu. And all creation in trillions of years, and it's just one breath. And then he inhales the whole thing. And it's all broken down into time units. On the other end of the spectrum, there is what's called a but it's a they have nanoseconds. They have, for an example, so many, I've forgotten the name in Sanskrit, but so many of these milliseconds, nanoseconds, so many of them add together. They've got subatomic particles. But here's the point I want to get to time calculation. There's a section, Maitreya Muni is speaking to Vidura. And this chapter is called Time Calculation from the Atom. And if you're lying on your bed and the sun is shining through, you see dust particles and so many things. But Prabhupada says in one purport, sometimes you can actually see a hex atom. And there's a calculation. There's about 4 different measurements that are subdivisions of that hex atom. So this gets down to, what is subatomic particles. But a hex atom is one of those, sometimes you can see it, Prabhupada says, floating upwards in the sunlight if you're looking at a beam of sunlight. And the time it takes, how long it takes the earth to go around the sun to go around the earth to go around the sun, depending on who you're talking to. But those are calculations. There's daytime, there's nighttime. So the Vedic goes all the way down to the time it takes the sun to cross one of those hex atoms. I mean, imagine. It's not even that. You could break that into 1,000 pieces and you'd have that time. And it goes all the way up. It goes up to, if you have a pot and it is a hole of particular size, then the time it takes that pot of a particular size for the water to drain out, that's a measurement of time. We call Brahma Muhurta. Muhurta makes so many dandas. So, it all breaks down on the micro side from the time it takes. So it's not that the Vedas didn't know. It goes all the way down to the time it takes the sun to cross over a subatomic particle, all the way to trillions of years, an entire creation, which is the just one breath, half a breath actually, if you count breath out and in, so one exhalation. So just it's the scope of the Vedic understanding of the universe, of creation. It was the broadest and the most finite or smallest. It is something amazing. And what is the point? The point is, and reading these manus and the predictions of the future, one should walk away from these verses with the sense, several things, at least it came to my small mind, that how the world is working like a finely tuned Swiss watch. Time factor, what is it? Anyway, how all there's karma, there's the material nature, there's the jiva, there's the Supreme Lord, and there's the material nature and time. Time I am. And you stir it all together, and it's, like I say, like a giant Swiss watch. How does that all... who are we? We learned Roman history. I remember studying the California history. California is a flash in the pan. United States, a flash in the pan. So many explorers. Just, what is it? It's just a tiny flash in the pan. So is it so important? You've got this nation fighting that nation over the... China and India are fighting over the Kargil Glacier. It's one of the most godforsaken places. Freezing cold. More people die from frostbite, soldiers, than those that are a part of the fighting between the Chinese and the Indians. The Indians fight with the Pakistanis, this one's fighting, and it's a flash in the pan. So many border conflicts. The countries won't even be remembered, and they're killing and dying over it. Prabhupada compared it, when you see at night a bunch of bugs flying around the light, it's because they're actually disoriented. That light means up to them. So they keep trying to... Sariputta told me this. They keep trying to fly up, so they're flying into the light because they can't figure. They're disoriented, discombobulated. So they're all flying around the light at night, and in the morning you just sweep them up and throw them in the dustbin. We are like that. So it should breed within us a sense of, as Rabindra Sarup calls it, creatureliness. Like when you're standing in front of the Lincoln Memorial, if you've ever been to Washington, D.C., you've seen pictures, and there's Honest Abe, who wasn't so honest, Honest Abe, you know, and we're just a little speck. That's actually our position on one hand. And it should also, as it's described here, give us confidence that Krishna's in charge. You know, we're worried about this and this is... What's going to happen is going to happen. This is not defeatist philosophy. We have our free will. We're captains of our own fate. What we've done in the past, we're reaping the fruit now. As you soweth, so shall you reap. Even Jesus says it. So, okay, there's that part of it. But there should simultaneously be a sense of peacefulness. Not in addition to our, you know, what I'm all worked up about is insignificant. And Alexander the Great, where is he now? There's that big arc, they triumph in Paris, and Prabhupada quotes it. Where is Napoleon now? Where is he? Where's Einstein? You know, he's sitting in a class somewhere thinking if Sally has 5 apples and Billy takes 2, you know, he's counting on his fingers, you know, he's in first grade or kindergarten. Where is he? So, in addition to what we think is so important, somebody's got to fix this. What we think is so important is insignificant. Yeah, because it keeps dropping. Not now, but in the future. What we think is so important that we'll give our most valuable thing, our life for the Kargil Glacier, is insignificant. And all of our mental issues, my mother didn't, you know, nurse me, or, you know, whatever, getting in touch, you know, all of that stuff is insignificant. And it also should give rise to a sense of comfort that, well, at least Krishna's, you know, it's running like a Swiss watch. And therefore, let me get about my real duty, which is to utilize the human form of life for self-realization. Now, a couple other things. You know, the first step of God realization that's the second canto, first step in God realization. So, and it describes, anyway, the point is that it's meant to, and Prabhupada mentions in one of the purports, how people, primitive Adivasis, what do you call them? Junglis, you call them in India. But the Aborigines, natives, whatever you want to call them, I'm sure I've offended somebody. Again, the sense of, if there's a giant volcano, they'll worship that. Or a giant mountain, they'll worship that. And if you read those descriptions, first thing that happens is a sense of we're not such big stuff. We're very small and insignificant. We're a speck in the scope of time. And what is another key thing that's drummed into one? Reading that chapter of First Step in God Realization. Prabhupada wrote a great article for Back to God. It was actually a talk he gave in Washington, D.C. Prabhupada was in Washington, D.C. for the 4th of July independence. It was the bicentennial, 200 years. You know, if something's 200 years old, it's an American, what do you call it, antique. The Loda in the public bathroom in Delhi is 200 years old. I mean, it's not a big deal. 200 years is recent history. But it's meant to breed, reading that first chapter, a sense of dependency, that I'm actually dependent. You know, the water, the rain. Prabhupada always points out that you can't eat nuts and bolts. We're not in, a big factory. So what? If the rain stops, you know that Colorado is being sued. What's above Colorado? Is it Nebraska or Wyoming? Wyoming's above. It's the state above Colorado. And Colorado is suing Wyoming because there's a shortage of rain. This thing is really frustrating because I know what to do, but it distracts the class. So why is Wyoming suing Colorado? Because the Colorado River is drying up. And farmers in Wyoming are seeding the clouds. I don't know what it is, but you put it in the clouds and it causes the rain to fall. So before it can fall on the ground and flow into the Colorado River and flow into Colorado, I think there's 7 states that are Arizona, California, were dependent on that water basin, Colorado River flow. And they're saying, you're taking our rain. It would come down to... So we're dependent. Just cut off the rain. If the Colorado River and the aqueduct... I mean, there's so many examples. Air conditioning created Las Vegas and Phoenix and Tucson. Because it was as hot as it was like the gates to hell. Nobody could live it. So you got AC, okay. Then you get some Colorado River water, and you can live in the desert. So from the sense of, okay, fine, you've drummed into my head that I'm dependent. Does that give rise to low self-esteem? It can, but what is the purpose in the Bhagavatam for developing a sense of dependence? From a sense of dependence comes the attitude of gratitude. One feels, wait a minute, I'm dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Lord, or whoever's out there that's controlling everything, who's created this whole thing like a Swiss watch, I'm completely dependent on. And from dependence, a sense of smallness and dependence on material, Mother Nature. From a sense of dependence on Mother Nature comes gratitude. From gratitude, what's the next step? To reciprocate, which means service. And from service comes love. So the whole point the Bhagavatam is trying to make, or one of the points, by giving us all these manus, is to help us realize we're small, we're insignificant, we're all worked up about what doesn't matter at all. And the truth is that Prabhupada said, you think you're sitting on the floor? I'm sitting in the hand of Krishna, and it's perfectly designed. So don't worry about that. Prabhupada points out, everybody's looking for happiness. Even a plant will turn towards the sun for sustenance. You know, you put a why is it called a sunflower? They turn towards the sun. So, what was I going to say? Oh, well, from that sense, I'm small, I'm dependent, it's all running on by Krishna's arrangement expertly. Oh, that's what I was going to say, thank you. And I forgot again. Does anyone here, now I remember, does anyone here, everyone's looking for happiness. Even a plant will turn towards the sun. Is anyone here looking for unhappiness? Govardhan, when you woke up this morning, did you think, you know what? I'm going to really try to be miserable today. Suresh, you know, I think I'll just hit myself in the head with a hammer. There's the old joke, why do you hit yourself in the head with a hammer? Because it feels so good when I stop. So who gets up like that? Everybody's looking for happiness. Now, what is the contradiction? What is the quandary? If everybody's looking for happiness, what comes unsought without any effort whatsoever? In fact, an aversion to. Oh, help me out. What happens? Prahlad says this, Prithu Maharaj says this. What happens? Misery comes unsought. Therefore, as misery comes unsought, it's Prahlad Maharaj who says this, what should one also conclude, other than Dravida? Huh? Happiness will also come. So when one sees, you know, everything is calculated, everything is... Prabhupada says there's demigods that control the blinking of our eyes. You know, the Claridge's used to be considered the best hotel in the world. And they have a ratio of 3 employees to every guest. Winston Churchill said, when I die, I don't want to go to heaven, I want to go to Claridge's. I don't think he went to either. I think he's burning in hell, but that's another story. And there's a reason for that some other time. But the point is, there's 33 million demigods, according to Shastra, for controlling this world. And Prabhupada says there's even a demigod that controls the blinking, Prabhupada calls it the twinkling, of our eyelids. So everything's controlled like a Swiss watch. Happiness and misery will come automatically. What's destined will happen. And we're worried about all these, what do they call it? You know, worried about the small potatoes. We're worried about the small stuff Because what are the four things from Bhagavad Gita, other than Dravida, that Krishna says an intelligent person should keep in the forefront of their mind? Four things. That's a big hint, Prabhu. I said not you. Anybody know? Four things that every intelligent person, which should include us, we should know we're supposed to be intelligent. Krishna says it in Gita. What are those four things? Finding a good girlfriend, having a steady income, and take care of your health. I can think of another one, but what? Go over that. Birth, death, disease, and old age. People are spending all of their time on other things, but that's what they should be focused on. So the point is seeing the whole thing working like a Swiss watch, hearing all of these manus, understanding that Shastra can see millions and billions and trillions of years in the past and in the future. And the Bhagavatam says, hey, you could be overloaded with information, so we're just going to give you the essence. Vyasadeva, it's not that, what do they call prehistoric? Prehistoric is like 6,000 years ago, something like that. There wasn't any written language. The first was Mesopotamia, Iraq, or Iran. They got some little cuneiform clay tablet. And that's when history begins. No, it doesn't. People were so intelligent, they heard once, completely remembered. They didn't need to write it down. They remembered it. You have to write it down. So, whether you accept that or not, the point is, with a Vedic scope, looking at the inhalation and exhalation of Mahavishnu, and the fact that they've got everything figured out to nanoseconds, and they've got trillions of years of history, the Bhagavatam has given us the essence. Hey, they say like trying to drink water through a fire hose. Imagine that. Try to drink water through a fire hose. It's water. It'll quench your thirst. Is that going to work out for you? So imagine trying to learn history. Magellan, Vasco da Gama, 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Good luck. So the Bhagavatam, with that scope and complete comprehension, has given us the essence. Here's what matters. And the Bhagavatam consists, history is tangential. It's giving us the story of the lives of great devotees. Hey, here's what you need to know. You want to get out of this world? You want to deal with the real four problems? Here, focus on these four things. Here's how other devotees did it, got out of this world. Here's where you're going to go, back home, back to Godhead, 10th canto. Focus on this. Don't waste your time. Don't go after the small potatoes. So we can end there. Right? All right. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. If anyone's got a burning question, but I think it's time for prasadam. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hey, Govind.